Do you think greatness is born? No. I was born into an ordinary family in an ordinary house in the Subura, the dirtiest, noisiest, most dangerous quarter of Rome. Not in a palace, not in a temple, in the slums. 100 years BC, July 13th. My mother screamed in pain. My father prayed to the gods. And somewhere in this same city, senators in white togas decided the fate of the world and did not even suspect that the man who would erase them all from history had just been born. They named me Gaius Julius Caesar. Remember this name. In 70 years, emperors will bear it, in 1,000, kings of all Europe. The word Tsar is my name. The word Kaiser is my name. In 20 languages, the title of ruler is my name. And it all began in a dirty alley in the Subura. This is what happens when an ordinary person decides to become eternal. My name is Gaius Julius Caesar, and I want to tell you something important. I've never been afraid of death. Never. Even when it was staring me straight in the face. 75 years ago. Yeah, I'm 25 years old. I'm sailing across the Aegean Sea, young, ambitious, full of plans. And then, suddenly, pirates, Cilician pirates, the true cutthroats of the Mediterranean, board my ship. They demand a ransom, 20 talents of silver. Do you know what I told them? I laughed in their faces and said, 20 talents? Do you even know who you caught? Asked for 50? The pirates were confused. This Roman did not beg for mercy. He bargained in his favor. While they waited for the ransom, I lived among them like a master. If they made noise at night, I demanded silence, read them my poetry, and if they did not like it, called them ignoramuses. I told them straight to their faces, when they release me, I will come back and crucify you all. They laughed, thinking you're joking. The ransom has come. They released me, and I immediately equipped ships, found those pirates in their own lair and crucified them all, every single one of them. I always keep my word. Remember that. This is only the beginning. 49 years BC, January, night. I stand on the banks of the small river Rubicon. Behind me is the 13th Legion. My soldiers, my family. Rome lay ahead. The Senate decreed I must disband the army and return as a private citizen. Otherwise, I'm a traitor. Otherwise, there will be civil war. I stood by this river for a long time, understanding the one step and there would be no turning back. My commanders were silent. The soldiers waited. The whole history of the world waited. And then I spoke the words that will be remembered forever. The die was cast. I was the first to enter the water. A cold January river, knee-deep, waist-deep. The legions followed me. Thousands of boots churned the bottom of the Rubicon. When Pompey found out, he fled Rome. The Senate fled. The whole city panicked. No one expected me to take the plunge. But I always take the plunge. This small river became the border between the old world and the new, between the Republic and the Empire. One step between the past and the future, and the world will never be the same. 52 BC? I cornered the greatest enemy I've ever faced, Vercingetorix, leader of the Gauls. He holed up in the mountaintop fortress of Alesia with 80,000 men. My advisor said, storming is impossible, taking them by sea is impossible. The relief army will arrive first. I did the impossible. I ordered 2 walls built simultaneously. An inner one to keep Vercingetorix from breaking out. An outer one to keep the relief army from getting through. 35 kilometers of fortifications, ditches, towers, traps. My legions built day and night. Then the Gaulish army arrived. 250,000 men. My 40,000 found themselves caught between 2 armies. It was a moment when any other commander would have retreated. I donned a scarlet cloak so the soldiers would see me in the thick of the battle and personally led the cavalry to where the line was about to collapse. The Gauls wavered. Vercingetorix saw that their aid had been routed. The next day, he himself descended from the mountain in full armor, rode around me on horseback, and threw the weapons at my feet. Gaul was conquered. 48 BC, Egypt, Alexandria. I pursue Pompey, my enemy, my former ally. But Pompey was killed before I arrived. The Egyptians decided to give me a gift. I weep over his head. He was a great man. He deserved a better death. But Egypt had another surprise in store for me. That night, a rolled-up carpet was delivered to my chambers. A servant unrolled it, and out emerged Anna, Cleopatra VI, Queen of Egypt. 21 years old, intelligent, daring, speaking 9 languages. She had secretly entered the palace, wrapped in the carpet to avoid being caught by the Brotherhood guards. That one act said everything about her, everything. We talked all night about power, about philosophy, about Alexander the Great, whose tomb stood in this city. In the morning, I supported her claim to the throne. Together, we fought against her brother. I almost drowned in the harbor of Alexandria. I had to swim to the ships, holding important documents under my head. Egypt became ours, and Cleopatra. Cleopatra became part of my destiny. Great people have great stories. August 9, 1948 BC. Greece, Pharsalus. This is the day that will decide the fate of Rome. Against me is Pompey the Great, Rome's finest general. Behind him is almost the entire Senate, the entire aristocracy, an army of 47,000 men against my 20. Pompey relied on cavalry, 11,000 horsemen against my 1,000. He planned to crush my right flank and strike from the rear. I knew about this plan, and I prepared a response. I took the best veteran 6 cohorts and hid them behind the right flank, a secret reserve. As Pompey's cavalry charged and was already celebrating victory, these soldiers emerged from ambush and struck the horsemen straight in the faces with their spears. My men were aiming for the eyes. Pompey's young aristocrats treasured their handsome faces. They fled. The cavalry crushed their own infantry. Pompey's army crumbled. I gave the order to my legions, spare the Roman citizens. Pompey fled the battlefield. I won the civil war in a single day. Veni, vidi, vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. I wrote this to a friend after another battle. But Farsalus is the battle where I became master of Rome. Have you ever considered that you live by my calendar? 46 BC. I had just ended a series of wars, become dictator of Rome, brought order to the state, and discovered something unpleasant. The Roman calendar was off by as many as 3 months. The priests manipulated dates for political purposes, adding and removing days as they pleased. It was chaos. It was impossible to govern an empire when no one knew what day it was. I summoned the best astronomers in the world, from Egypt, from Greece. The leader was the Alexandrian scholar Sigenes. We recalculated everything. A year of 365 days. Every 4 years, a leap year of 366 days. 12 months. One of them is named after me, Julius, July. To correct the accumulated error, the year 46 BC became the longest year in history, 400 at age of 45 days. The Romans called it the year of confusion. I also conducted a census. I distributed land to veterans, drained the swamp, and began construction of a new forum. A dictator is not just a man with power. He is a man who takes chaos and turns it into order. The Julian calendar lasted 1,000 years. Today's Gregorian is just a small adjustment. I literally changed the time. February 1944 BC. Lupercalia, an ancient Roman holiday. I sit on a golden throne in the forum. The crowds shout my name. My friend Mark Antony offers me the royal diadem 3 times. 3 times I reject it. The crowd erupts in applause each time. It was a game of political theater. I was testing whether Rome was ready to receive a king. Rome was not ready. The word king, rex, has struck fear into the Romans since the expulsion of Tarquinius. But I was dictator perpetuo, dictator forever, effectively king, without that hated word. I forgave enemies, and that irritated them more than executions. I said, Sulla didn't know the ABCs of politics since he renounced dictatorship. I knew. I handed out positions, built, reformed, but I made a fundamental mistake. I thought generosity buys loyalty. Brutus, Cassius, Decimus, the men I pardoned, elevated, and trusted, sharpened their knives. Power is loneliness. The higher you rise, the fewer people you can trust. I knew about the conspiracy. The soothsayers warned. Calpurnius' wife begged me not to leave the house on the Ides of March. I didn't listen. Caesar doesn't hide. Free the year BC. I am 42 years old. I am governor of Gaul, the vast territories north of the Alps. Wild, unexplored, deadly dangerous. 8 years. 8 years of war. I crossed the Alps with an army like Hannibal once did, only in the other direction. I was the first Roman to cross the Rhine, building a bridge across the great river in 10 days. 10 days, so the Germans would know that Rome knows no bounds. I landed twice in Britain at the edge of the known world where, rumor has it, the earth ends and the ocean of infinity begins. I was routed at the Battle of Gergovia. My only major defeat was in Gaul. I retreated, regrouped, and returned. I lost soldiers, buried friends. Once surrounded, I fought in the front ranks. Sword in one hand, shield, lost, wounded. The statistics of these wars are terrifying. Although for the Amino, according to some sources, 1 million Gauls would have killed another 1 million enslaved. I am not proud of these numbers. War is not glory. War is the price. But it was these 8 years that made me, created legions loyal to me personally, gave me wealth, gave me glory. Without Gaul, there would have been no Rubicon. Without the Rubicon, there would have been no Caesar. After the victory at Pharsalus, I could have executed everyone, the entire Senate, all of Pompey's legions, everyone who fought against me. I executed no one. This was called Clementia Caesar's, Caesar's clemency, and it wasn't weakness. It was policy. Marcus Junius Brutus fought against me at Pharsalus. I personally ordered him found alive, not wounded. After the battle, I pardoned him and made him governor of the province. I trusted him like a son. Cicero, Rome's greatest orator who had criticized me all his life, was pardoned. Cato, an implacable enemy. When he committed suicide in Utica, I said, Coton, I envy you. You deprived me of the opportunity to forgive you. I understood that executions cannot build a state. Fear does not last long. Gratitude lasts longer. But I miscalculated. Those I forgave perceived my generosity as humiliation. The proud Roman aristocrats did not want to owe their lives to someone they considered a tyrant. My kindness became my weakness. My pardoned enemies gathered in the Senate and sharpened their knives. Sometimes history is cruel, too, to those who choose mercy over cruelty. But I would not change my choice, even knowing what would happen next. March 15, 1944 BC. In the morning, Calpurnia told me a dream. She held my dead body in her hands. The soothsayer Spurina warned me back in February, fear the march, etc. I was planning to stay home, but Decembrus, one of the conspirators I trusted more than the others, arrived and said the senators were waiting, that it would be awkward. What would they say? Caesar was frightened by a woman's dreams. I stood up, put on my toga, and went out. On the way to Pompey's theater, someone slipped a note with the names of the conspirators into my hand. I didn't read it, but held it in my hand. I thought I'd read it later. In the Senate, as people approached me from all sides, as if with a petition, Tilnius Cimber grabbed my toga. That was the signal. Casca struck the first blow, to the neck. I grabbed his hand and cried out in Greek, Casca, villain, what are you doing? Then blows from all sides. 23 wounds. When I saw Brutus among the conspirators, I said only, you too, a child. I fell at the foot of Pompey's statue and covered my face with my toga. The conspirators thought they had killed the tyrant. They killed a man, but they created a legend. Rome did not become free after my death. A new war began. My great-nephew Octavian destroyed the assassins and became the first emperor, Augustus. I died, but everything I started continued. Caesar is no longer a name. It is a title, Kaiser, Tsar. Every monarch for a millennium has borne my name. The die was cast long ago, and it will never stop rolling. I am Gaius Julius Caesar, and I am immortal.